what is called special ed, because they are treated special. We do things differently. And if everybody wants this accommodation, they also have to have everything that comes with David's life. Their mother had to walk out on them when they're 7. They have to be precariously housed. Their father has to have alcoholism. You know, it's a package deal. If you want that, you get the whole thing, and then you get to go to recess. But for me, to survive in the system, I have to take tiny, tiny steps. And so the work I do not only is with David, but it's with the assistant principals and the superintendents. That we can continue doing what we've always done, but we're going to continue getting what we've always gotten. Other feelings on that? Because this is one of those, when I give this example, some people are like, I don't know. Yes?
Well, I've worked in similar environments that you have, and oftentimes these students would see very obviously the double standard. I need to do this for this principal, but the actions of the adults aren't always properly done.
Yep. And you can't call PS Station, and you can't call Sega and Nintendo and tell them to change the rules. I completely agree. If he's disrespectful to you because he's in a position of authority, at this point in time, you've got a child who's been in trouble for 10 years, and you have an assistant principal. And a family who does not have the skills to advocate for this child. And so, yes, I completely agree the need for macro system change. But also, what we've been missing is the need for micro, the individual level, the family level. Other comments? Other discomfort? Yes?
Yeah, I'm struck by your use of power. It seems to imply that people are powerless, that they have a victim mentality. Is that what you're saying?
I don't believe they're powerless, and I try to really use an empowerment perspective or approach with them. And with David, I was saying, what can you control in this setting? You can control your response, and that's really all you can control. And his coping skills were to then fly into a rage, which was one of those self-destructive behaviors. He wasn't able to suspend his emotional memory bank, to put that on hold for a minute, to press pause, and respond in this way, and then until he got to a point where, I can control how I respond. I have that power. Because the mindset many times is, what are you talking about? I can't choose how I react. I can't choose how I feel. They make me feel this way. So I'm trying to get them from a point of external locus of control to internal locus of control. And it's really uncomfortable. It's a really uncomfortable skill to develop. Yes?
I witnessed some people coming into the Potter Center, and they were obviously first generation, both the student and the parent. The minute they stepped into the Potter Center for getting some student help, I was the only one in that area. And they had this conversation, the mom said, I think we're going back. I don't want to be here.
It's really scary.
Yeah, so that whole exchange conversation, and the son said, well, what am I going to do? I'm graduating from high school. And she said, well, you need to do something. But I don't know even what to say. And of course, they were there. She was there to support him. But mom didn't know what to say. He
Right.
didn't know what to say. They were ready to go out the door. So I won't tell you the rest of the story. But anyhow, that whole fear, it just continues.
It does, and many of the parents had negative experiences with schools growing up. And a lot of the parents, I work in a very rural county, and they have lived there their whole life. So the very school the parents are going into are the schools they went to as children, and they're in the principal's office they used to be in. And so they're still not liking this guy very much from 20 years ago either. And that's very real. That's a very real feeling of, I look at when I was applying to go to college, And the only reason I did was because I was dating the superintendent's son, and his family insisted. And I thought, oh, I was trying to be obedient. I didn't know how to fill out a FAFSA. My dad refused to give me any information because he thought it was nobody's business how much he made. So I got zero financial aid. I didn't know what a registrar or a syllabus. My boyfriend's family coached me and taught me and encouraged me and went with me to those kinds of meetings because I was scared to death. And I just wanted to leave. And I thought that I don't belong here. I have moments of relapse many years later. A couple years ago, I was on Western's campus, and like an idiot, I went on the day when all the students were moving in, and my car overheated in the midst of, dormitory land, and I had to call a colleague, and he's actually my dissertation chair, and I said, I'm overheated, I'm over here, and I can't go anywhere because I'm locked in by hundreds of students. Well, by the time he got there, he had to walk because the traffic was god-awful, and he's carrying 2 jugs of water to put in the radiator. And by the time he got there, in my mind, I relapsed into, I don't belong here. I belong in the trailer park. This is not where I am not good enough to be here. I mean, I went into all of that because I was so uncomfortable. And he laughed because I got there and he said, no, Barb, you don't belong in the trailer park. You're doing good. Your car just overheated. But it was a very emotional response because it was that voice in my head of, what am I doing here? Nobody in my family goes to school. And, they were speaking a different language. Other comments? Yes. I do, and I'm going to get to that when we get to cognitive resources, okay? And if I don't answer it enough, please let me know again, okay? Oops. So emotional responses is learning how to be uncomfortable. Just like a foreign exchange student, if we go to a foreign land, we send them to a host family who teaches them cultural rituals, who walks them through the process. And they get a little bit of extra, oh, it's okay, because you're from this you're new to the country, and we cut them a little bit of slack because it's obvious that it's new and different to them. And so these emotional resources come in the form of role models and mentors that teach them, and this is the piece I think is really important. It's a relationship that is maintained. So it doesn't end necessarily at 5. It happens if it's, because emergencies happen in the evening and on the weekends and on school breaks. And so it's a relationship that is maintained. When we give students a different advisor every year in high school, there's not a chance many times for that to carry over. And they're not available in the evenings or on the weekends. And many times I'm amazed at kids that I've worked with that come to school, whereas the night before, there was a domestic violence incident in their home, but we expect them to sit down and be quiet and do their math. And in reality, they're completely traumatized from what happened last night. Here we go, the cognitive resources. Learning when you're growing up in poverty, in chronic poverty, it is chronic trauma. And many times your brain adjusts to that fight or flight. You're going on adrenaline a lot of the time. So many times we learn through stories, through experiences that have emotional intensity.